Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? It is Sunday afternoon at the time I am recording this, and what a perfect day. What a perfect time to have the standard classic conversation of quarterback tier. So what I decided to do was take a look around the league at starters, at potential starters, and see where they fall in what category. So I have it broken down into 5 categories: elite, great, good, average, and just flat out bad. Now, keep in mind, I personally believe that you could be in the good quarterback section, you could be in the average quarterback section, and still make playoff runs, and still even potentially make the Super Bowl. This is a team game. There's how many people on the roster? 50 plus. There's how many coaches involved? There's how many great head coaches that are implemented throughout systems as well. So you can be a good quarterback and still make a run if your defense is elite. You know what I'm trying to say? And I guess it does determine how you specifically, you as an individual, look at the words good, look at the words great, how you define them, and how you break down the list. It is judgmental. It depends on how you view and value these specific words that categorize these athletes. I feel as if you can be surrounded by the right people and not necessarily be elite. Elite is so rare. Okay, so for example, I have 8 total quarterbacks in elite and good combined. Elite is so rare to find. If you tell me that you have to be elite or great to win a championship, well, that's not necessarily true. And if that's the case, then if you are a front office member of a team that doesn't have any of those 8 quarterbacks, what are you supposed to do? Start all over, tank every single year? No, you find ways to implement these quarterbacks in a specific scheme. You go out and get playmaking wide receivers. You go out and get an offensive line that can protect this guy. You go out and get a great defense that can turn the ball over and put that quarterback in a certain position with a shortened field. So it's very possible to not being great or elite and still be a quarterback that has success. So with that being said, I think it is a perfect time now to get into this. When it comes to elite, I feel like this is pretty standard and there should be no argument, although you can technically argue one of them. So let's get into it. And it's not ordered. Each category is not ordered. So whoever I say first doesn't mean he's better than the person I mentioned fifth. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Pat Mahomes. The one that I feel like you could argue is Tom Brady. And here's why. Is he still elite? Is Tom Brady elite right now? Last year with the New England Patriots, was he elite? I saw a totally different Tom Brady. Now, a different Tom Brady is clearly still a good enough Tom Brady to win how many football games? 12 football games? And realistically, 9 out of 10 times, if not 99 out of 100 times, they beat the Miami Dolphins at the end of the season to put themselves in a way better situation. It's Tom Brady. Whether he has fallen off or not, it's Tom Brady. It's part of the NFL gods. It's part of the football religion. I don't care if he's 57. I don't care if he's 68. If he is dressing up on Sundays in the NFL, he is in the elite category for me. You can say that Aaron Rodgers is not the same as he once was. You can say the same with Drew Brees. All of these players, except for Wilson and Mahomes, because they are younger, specifically Mahomes. He's on the uprise, no doubt about it. He is so special to watch. His no-look throws consistently. My point, though, when it comes to Tom Brady is I will never not put Tom Brady in that category, okay? He deserves to be in it 100% no matter how old he is, because he is Tom Brady. He is the greatest quarterback to ever live. I found myself questioning some of my own moves based off of, just like with the Tom Brady thing, based off of what if some of these quarterbacks, which this will occur, only played 1 year. And in that 1 year, they were really awful or they were really good. But do I believe that it is sustainable? You know? So there were some times where I was confused on where to put specific players, and I had to put my big boy pants on and make a decision. Let's go with the great category. Deshaun Watson. I feel like Deshaun Watson has a lot of tremendous skills. Not just on the field. but off the field as well. There's nobody in that Houston Texans organization that says anything bad about the guy. And I feel like he has that attribute where, and it's rare for a young person to have this, someone of his age, when you look around the huddle and the guys are staring at you, they believe. They believe in Deshaun Watson, and they believe he will make a play without an offensive line. Running away. He's scrambling. He's going to make that play. Now, it didn't end perfectly, no doubt about it. Bill O'Brien had very big problems late and did not help his team and did not put his squad in the best position possible. So it ended kind of ugly for Deshaun Watson. But from a big picture standpoint, he has that it factor. And all of those quarterbacks I mentioned in the elite, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, when they are in that huddle and there's a big play on the line, they all know. They all know that they are capable of getting the job done. They are able to put their team in the best position. They are able to make a wide receiver open by just putting it in a specific space, and that guy will go out and make the play. They trust these players, and I feel like Deshaun Watson has that. Maybe not as much as an Aaron Rodgers or a Mahomes or a Wilson, but it's there, and it's super close. It might not be to the same level, but it's super close. Next, I will go Carson Wentz in the great category. Now, this is a spot where I was definitely confused, and I feel like my bias put him towards more great than good. If I was to number these, he would be either at the top of good or at the bottom of great. I think that he still has some issues. Mechanically, it's definitely not perfect. The one thing he does beautifully is on the run, throwing the ball when he's rolling to his right, and he's got this cannon of a throw where it's just miraculous. And I am thinking about that one play to Miles Sanders in the back of the end zone where he zips it through all sorts of defenders and just beautifully places it right where Miles Sanders was. He makes plays where it makes my jaw drop and I'm stunned. It's just not consistent. It's not at a 2017 level where he was tearing up the league every single week. But the skill set is there, and as I mentioned, the locker room part of it with Deshaun Watson and the elite guys, I don't know if he is there yet. I feel like players definitely are intrigued by what he can do. I don't know if that it factor is there, though, when the play is on the line, the game is on the line with one play left, and they look at him and say, you are going to do it. You are absolutely going to do it. Not to the same level as the other guys. And whether that's maybe me thinking about the Alshon Jeffrey thing, the Josina Anderson reports, the shrine of Nick Foles when he was here going on that second playoff run. I don't know what it is that makes me feel that way, but when there's smoke, there is fire. So I do think there's something to be said about that. But in terms of, and keep in mind, that is a big part of being a quarterback, right? That is a big piece of the puzzle. But when it comes to the skill set, he has it. Injuries play a factor. He needs to make sure that he stays healthy. Last year, it was very fluky. That could happen every single week. And I do believe that luck plays a factor as well when it comes to injuries. That Jadeveon Clowney hit. I mean, isn't that just unlucky? There's nothing that Carson Wentz could do to stop that from happening. And don't tell me that he was supposed to throw the ball away in that specific situation. That is just not the case. That was an unlucky play for Carson. That had nothing to do with a knee injury, a hand injury, a wrist injury. That was just flat out making a football play, and you can't control other players sometimes. With that being said, though, he does need to stay active on the field. He played 16 regular season games. It just ended in a weird, faulty way, which now brings that conversation back full circle. But when it comes to greatness, I think Wentz is in that category. And third, I put Lamar Jackson here. And with that being said, there is a disclaimer with it. He needs to add to his game. And he needs the right type of coach in play. Would he be as successful as he was this year with a Jeff Fisher? I don't think anybody, if you look at Jared Goff, if you look at Nick Foles, I don't think anybody can be successful with Jeff Fisher. So I don't know if that's a fair person to pick. When you look at last year, and all I can base it off of was last year, he balled out. MVP, so fast, so unique, people can't catch him. With that being said, it ended just like Deshaun Watson ended ugly. This ended even worse. I mean, it was miserable to watch. He specifically played bad. He had a bad football game. He needs to get better at accuracy and throwing the ball. It's sort of like Ben Simmons and the Sixers. If you know Ben Simmons has the ball and he won't shoot. What do? You back up and you force him to do it. You force him to shoot. You dare him to. It's the same with Lamar Jackson. But I love his attitude and his swagger. So he comes into this league and people want him to change into a wide receiver. Why? He's a quarterback and he stands up for that. And I feel like he is feeling inside disrespected. Coming into the league, he felt that way. And now after how it ended, he had this miraculous season where it was fantastic. It was must-watch television. Must-watch television every single week. Spinoramas, making people miss. It was electric. It really was. Ended poorly. Playoffs, a different type of beast. Here's the questions. Will that style work? Will he be able to do that? And I feel like he has that attitude that will go into the gym this offseason and be dedicated to an elite level, to take that next jump, to prove people wrong. Whether that's next year or if it's in a 5-year window, that's the question that will be asked. And I think it's more of a window thing than, say, next year he's just going to walk in and throwing at this unreal pace and hitting his targets in rhythm every single play. I don't think that's how it's going to be. It might take a few years. But his unique skill set is so tremendous that I put him in that great category based off of last year. He needs to get better. If he doesn't get better, he will struggle because guess what? For as good as he is, coaches in this league are fantastic as well. And they now have film, and they will now study, and they will definitely put hours and hours in on how to stop Lamar Jackson and study formations. I don't think it's wrong to say that he needs to be in the right system. That doesn't take away from how great his skill set is. I'm intrigued by what he's going to do moving forward. Let's get into the good category. So, in good, I have Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Cam Newton. I actually really like Matt Ryan's career as a guy. I do. Like, if you told me I'm an owner and I have Matt Ryan for 12 years, 14 years, 10 years, I'm all in on it. Now, it didn't result in a championship to this point, and he's hitting the back nine clearly. And I'm also not a guy where it's, look at the yards. Look how many yards he throws for. Because in today's era of football, it's slinging the ball downfield. So many plays, big chunk plays. Defense can't do anything. They get flags all the time. It's just a heavy, heavy offensive league, a passing league. So yards don't mean much, even though he has a tremendous amount of yards. He is just a quarterback where I don't think he's in that great category anymore, but during the prime of his career, I would have absolutely put him there. He's a guy you can trust. He's a guy that can make plays. He's going through some struggles right now, and I feel like organizationally they're in a funk when it comes to head coach decisions and falling apart after that Super Bowl. That Super Bowl put some damage on a lot of guys in that front office and the players, clearly. I mean, you can just see it. They haven't been the same, and that's how crazy this league is. It's one year to the next, and you can use that against me when I'm talking about Lamar Jackson or things like that, but guess what? I can only base it off of what happened last season when Lamar Jackson was at an MVP-type level. But it is year to year. All these guys, they're going to have years that are great. They're going to have years that are good. They're going to have years that might be below average for them. They might have an elite year. That's just how it is. It's more of when you look at them as a full career, that's where you make your judgment. So in terms of Matt Ryan's career, I would say it's along the lines of great when it comes to what he brought to the table and how effective he was throughout, even though it didn't result in a championship. That's not my point. You had a quarterback that puts you in a position every single season, and that's all you can ask for from an organization standpoint. It's not just about the championship, although it's easy to say from a fan it is, but from a business partner or business owner, I don't know if it is. I've seen many reports on this. If you are an owner, you tell me your NFL football team is in the playoffs every year, but they don't win a championship. Or you can win one championship, but you stink for 10 seasons. A lot of those owners and a lot of those business people are taking those extra playoff games. They're taking meaningful regular season games over those seasons where you win 3 games just because you win one championship. You make way more money the other way. And that's kind of the mindset I have when talking about Matt Ryan. But as of right now, he is in that good category. And I think not the same way about Matthew Stafford, but similar. I think similar about that. Similarly, I think is the right way to put that. He is a guy who is stuck in Detroit. Detroit never wins. It's just a miserable city when it comes to sports. If he was anywhere else, if he was with Bill Belichick in New England, It would be a totally different ballgame. It absolutely would. Jared Goff, I like what he brings to the table. A lot of people bash him because they say it's just Sean McVay. I don't think it's just Sean McVay. He had a down season last year, but I still think that there's value in Jared Goff, and he's a good quarterback. Kyler Murray, I'm intrigued by. Cam Newton, that's the interesting one. He's in the headlines as of late. I'm not out on Cam Newton. The knock on him is the injury. It's not the skill, and I do understand that the injury part of this is big. If you pay a quarterback, if you pick up a quarterback, you need him to be available. You need him to throw the rock to his teammates. I feel like because of his personality, maybe even the way he dresses, similar to the Russell Westbrook thing, people just despise Cam Newton right from the jump. And I feel like that's unfair. If I was someone, and it depends on the money, it depends on the years, but here's a couple organizations that I would look at Cam Newton if I was involved. The Chargers. It makes total sense. They have a good head coach. They have a roster that is built pretty damn well. They lose Phillip Rivers, who seems to be kind of cooked, fried. Why not bring in a guy like Cam Newton? Jacksonville, I'm taking him over Gardner Minshew in a heartbeat. The Tennessee Titans, I'm taking Cam Newton over Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill would hand the ball off. I can't believe he got paid as much as he did. Ryan Tannehill to me is just, I would rather take Cam Newton. Denver, I know Drew Lock is a guy that have people excited. No. I'm taking Cam Newton. New England, Washington Redskins. It's simple to me. To write him off already, I just feel like it's laughable. And I say already, he's 30 years old. He's not done. I mean, the skill set is there. It comes down to injury, but I don't feel like that's the narrative. I don't feel like that's the question. I feel like as if maybe it's just the way the media perceives it. Maybe it's the way that Twitter perceives it, although you definitely can't take a lot of opinions off Twitter, no doubt about it. It just seems like he's getting disrespected from a skill standpoint, and I feel like the skill is still in there. He had shoulder surgery. The cannon used to be unbelievable. I still think he has it. You don't come back from shoulder surgery, boom, just like that. It's similar to Carson Wentz. He had the whole knee injury problem. It was torn up in so many places, and then we just expected him to be right back to normal, right back to MVP type Carson Wentz. And these people are human beings, so it takes time. Cam Newton only played 2 games last year. He's on a road to recovery. But I feel like he, just like Lamar Jackson, feels disrespected where he's going to go out and make a nice run for himself. It's not MVP, Cam Newton, but it's still a good quarterback in this league. Looking at some of his numbers, 12-4, 15-1, 11-5. Also factor in a 7-9 season, 6-8, 6-8. But the moral of the story is he can win football games. He still has a nice skill set. That's all. I feel like he's getting totally destroyed for no reason. Going back to Dak Prescott, though, I felt like I just looked right over his name. I like Dak Prescott. He's available. I think he's a great leader, a hell of a leader. It's one of his best attributes. Does he miss throws at times? Sure. But I actually do like Dak Prescott. Take him off the Dallas Cowboys, put him on a team out of the NFC East, and he might be one of my favorite players to watch. I just love his story. I feel like I'm emotionally tied to his story, when he was drafted, his college career, and I just flat out like the person. I like the character of Dak Prescott. I love his work ethic. I like what he brings to the table from an athlete. I'm a big fan of Dak Prescott. It just sucks that he's on the Dallas Cowboys. I can't appreciate him as much as I want to. 13-3, 9-7, 10-6. He did finish 8-8 last year. Although, similar to a win-loss stat for baseball, I feel like it could be flawed because you can have a dominant game. I'll date it to Carson Wentz against the Miami Dolphins this year. The Eagles lost to the Dolphins in Miami. He put up 30-plus points. Is it Carson Wentz's fault they didn't win? No, the defense got shredded and couldn't stop Ryan Fitzmagic. I mean, that's an issue. He did plenty to win that game, but he didn't because the defense got abused all night long by such mediocrity. It was painful to watch. It really was. I feel like the win-loss can totally be skewed, and I get that. But I still look at it to some degree. I don't put a ton of stock into it, but I still look at it. I still think that there's meaning behind it to an extent. So let's go to average. And this is where I feel like there's quarterbacks that if surrounded by the right people, if surrounded by the right coaching staff, and if they have a great defense, it's not out of the question to make a little bit of noise. And I'll lead that off by saying Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is your average NFL quarterback. He might be at the top of the list. Once again, if I did rank the average, he might be at the top of the average. He's not at the bottom of the average, touching or close to the bottom of good, but that's where I put Jimmy Garoppolo. I put him in the average category. They had a lot of misdirection stuff, a lot of creativity with Kyle Shanahan. He was just more of a game manager, and that's different than what Lamar Jackson was. Lamar Jackson was put in a good spot by his head coach, yes, but he was making plays. He was making people miss. His legs, it was a threat. It's not the same thing from a game manager standpoint of Jimmy Garoppolo on San Francisco. That doesn't mean I don't like Jimmy G. If he was my quarterback for a few years, I would be intrigued with what he could do. I wouldn't go into a season thinking we are absolutely screwed, we are absolutely toast. I think there would be a potentially something there if it was molded the proper way. But that's where I put him. Kirk Cousins, Teddy Bridgewater, that should be interesting with Carolina. Nick Foles, Jacoby Brissett, Ryan Fitzmagic, the journeyman. I feel like the average category has variety. Now, I have these three in a box, but they are also in the average category. It's just, as I stated, it's variety, so it's different. Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. These are young players learning the league. They got plenty of potential. They had some growing pains. They had some good moments. But as of right now, I see them as average. They can get in that good category. I think Daniel Jones showed a little bit of spark in his game. Now, he definitely needs to do a better job here and there at maybe not fumbling the football, turnovers, things like that. But as of right now, with how young they are, how raw they are, and based off the fact that there's not much around them, Josh Allen has more than most, and you saw his playoff woes too. It's interesting how a lot of these young quarterbacks seem to have blow-ups in their playoff games. Maybe that's just the nature of the beast of being young. Yes, I would think so. But as of now, I think it's fine to put them in the average category and say, listen, it's there. The potential is there. They can make things happen in this league. They have good skill sets. They do things in their own way. They have their own personality on the field. Just in ranking right now, they're in that average phase. And I don't think that that's unfair to say. I put Big Ben in there too. Not to disrespect what he has done. He's old. He looks out of shape. I don't know what he's going to be. He's coming off an injury. If I'm Pittsburgh, there's an emotional tie there. But I don't know how much I could put into Big Ben to put him anywhere other than he's average. And hey, prove me wrong, Big Ben. Prove me wrong. But at his age, with his body structure, that's where I have him. And I also have Ryan Tannehill in there. Ryan Tannehill. If I'm Tennessee, I'm not going that direction. We'll see how it pays off. I love Mike Vrabel. I think that team plays hard for him. So hey, if Mike Vrabel puts him in the right spots, although we know that he is more of the defensive guy more than the offensive guy. But there's something to be said about the way he has that team playing. And if he is structured the right way and he has this team flow in the right way, Ryan Tannehill can work. But I don't know if they're going to have the same power running that they have had last season. Here's the bad. The bad. Andy Dalton stinks. Jameis Winston stinks. You can't turn the ball over that much. Don't tell me how many touchdowns he has. Don't tell me how many he could have had if people didn't drop the ball. The point is simple. He turns the ball over way too much. No, just no. Joe Flacco, not elite. Dwayne Haskins. How about this? Baker Mayfield. I did not like what I saw out of Baker Mayfield last year. Bad category. Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota. Ooh, tough spot to be in for the Las Vegas Raiders if you got both of your quarterbacks in the bad category. And I put Phillip Rivers in there. I respect his career. Even though I said with Tom Brady, he doesn't have to be playing elite to play in the elite category. He's the only one. I mean, he's the only one that has that star next to his name because, you know, as great as Phillip Rivers is, as great as Big Ben is, was is the proper term. They aren't Tom Brady, so I can't do that. And right now, I look at Tom Brady and I say, I'm sorry, I look at Phillip Rivers and I say, no, you're bad. You are bad. So I'm sure this is going to spark some controversy with some people, and I find that interesting. That's the beauty of this. It's the classic tier quarterback conversation. It gets thrown around at some point throughout the year. Normally it's like late August or late July where you're really anticipating football, and baseball is starting to hit that backstretch, but it's still not that September baseball yet. There's always conversations that resurface in the sports calendar. Now that there's no sports, though, why not utilize it right now? I can't wait to watch football, and I know it might not even happen, apparently. It might happen, apparently. You just don't know at this point. I feel one thing that got overlooked, though, as I'm finishing out here, the fact that I put Kyler Murray in the good category. I mean, there's so many quarterbacks. If I broke down each one individually, I'd be here for 3 hours. But I really like what Kyler Murray did last season. And now he gets DeAndre Hopkins. Now, he had some learning curves. I think he's very small. I think you realize that some of these dudes are really big, and he doesn't have as much time, and his feet work. But do they work as well as they did in the past? Definitely not. I like what he brings to the table. He's exciting. He's fun to watch. And he has these intangibles that are really entertaining. Let's just keep it simple like that. But who knows what he's going to be like out there with someone like DeAndre Hopkins. My guess is it's going to help big time. It's going to help really, 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 really big. Really big. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.